In this section, I'm going to look at paragraph formatting options within PowerPoint. So first, we're going to look at text alignment options. So if you look at a typical slide here, I can click within a line here, then I click on the home page, and then you've got your basic alignment options here. So by default, it's aligned to the left, or of course I can center, or I can align to the right, or I can use justify. Now if you're going to use justify, you have to have more than one line of text. So if I click within the second paragraph here and then click on justify, you can see what justify does is it lines up left and right, sort of newspaper style if you like. So your basic options are align to the left, center, align to the right, or justify, or back where we were. Right, next we're going to look at column formatting. So here we've got a typical slide. If I click within the text here, within the paragraph section here, you've got this option here that says add or remove columns. When I click on the down arrow there, you can have the default, which is one column, or you can have two columns, or you can have three columns. Now obviously in this case we don't have enough data for three columns, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back temporarily to one column. I'll get rid of this graphic so you can see what's happening. And literally I'm just going to duplicate this information here just so we've got some more information to play with. So again, what I'm going to do is try that again. So we're looking at one column, two columns, or three columns like so. Right, next we're going to look at modifying the bullet point formatting. So here's a typical slide, and as you can see it's been formatted with these square bullets. Now if I just sort of drag across the text here, if I want to I can apply other types of bullet formatting. So up here you've got two controls, bullets, and over here you've got numbering. Next to bullets there's a drop down arrow here. If I click on this, as you can see there's different types, and if I just simply move the mouse over it, I'm not actually clicking on anything, you can see a preview of what that looks like. So let's say I wanted this little arrows there. I click on that, and there you go. Looks like so. If I wanted to change that to something else, again I just simply go back here. I click on this down arrow here, and let's say I want these little square shadowed boxes. There we go. You can apply that. Right, next we're going to see how you can swap between either numbering or bullet points. So I've just brought up a typical slide here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the two paragraphs here. Now at the moment clearly we're using bullets, but if I click here on the down arrow next to where it says numbering, I can select different types of numbering. So I can just go for straightforward numbering like that, or if I want to I can go for something more interesting like maybe ABC, or the Roman numerals like that. So that's how you convert from one to the other. Obviously you can always go back, so at the moment we've got numbering. If I just wanted straightforward bullets again, I can select the bullet type, maybe this, and there we go, back to bullets again. Right, next we're going to look at changing the list level. Now here's a typical slide. The first item here says, well, it's basically talking about something called RAM. And this really is sort of more explanation. So what we should do is really indent this as a sort of secondary level. In order to do that, I just simply click on here. And if I click here where it says increase list level, basically that's been formatted by making it slightly smaller, and it's indented, and it's given it a slightly different button there as well. Right, next we're going to look at the difference between line spacing and paragraph spacing. So first of all, we'll look at line spacing. So here we've got another slide just using the sort of typical default settings. Now, if I select across these three paragraphs here, and then go up to here where it says line spacing and click on the down arrow, you can see there's various options. So if I just move across these, I won't actually click, I'll just move across. The default spacing is 1, then you can go to 1.5, 2, 2.5, or 3. So let's say I wanted double line spacing, I could click here and that would be applied like so. if I wanted to, I could put it back the way it was. So I go here, go up here to where it says line spacing and put it back to the default. Notice I have got line spacing options here, so I could go and sort of change these, so I could put hanging indents in and what have you, and I can specify exactly what sort of spacing I want if I want that level of control. So that's how you control line spacing. Right, the next thing we're going to look at is paragraph spacing. That's the spacing between each paragraph, as opposed to the last item, which was the spacing between each line. So in this case, what I'm going to do is select these 3 paragraphs here. Now, if you remember, the last thing we looked at was line spacing, and you might think, okay, where's paragraph spacing? What you have to do is move down to this little control here, and that will display more options. So as you can see, you can control the spacing before and after a paragraph. So if we click on the up arrow here, and also this one here, and click on OK, as you can see, that has radically changed things. So what we've done is we've increased the spacing between the paragraphs. If I click on the back button here, just so we can do that again, so again, if I select those, go to this option button down here, and this time we'll just change the settings to maybe 20 before and 15 after. Then we click on OK, and it'll look like that. So as you can see, it hasn't changed the line spacing, so the line spacing as it was. What it has done is it's changed the paragraph spacing. Right, next we're going to look at the outline view. Right, this is the normal view of your slides. So as you can see, you can click on the slides here and display the content. If you click over where it says View on the main ribbon here, you'll notice there's various presentation views. So one that's quite useful is something called the outline view. And what that does is it gives you an outline of each slide within the entire presentation. So if there was like multiple levels of indent and stuff like that, that would show up here. So it's kind of useful, this, because it gives you, as the name kind of implies, an outline of the course. And it's also quite useful because you can use this to say, oh, maybe that keyboard item there, I didn't want that. So I could select that, press delete, and that's now gone. It also means you can reorder things. So for instance, if you wanted the hard disk information displayed at the top there, I could just click here and select that, and I could just simply drag that up to maybe here. So that is now been moved from down here to up here. If I wanted it back where it was, I'd just simply go there and drag it back down again, and then drop it down here. So that's the outline view. It can be quite useful, especially where you've got very long presentations. Right, next we're going to look at the PowerPoint presenter notes. Again, I'm just displaying a typical presentation here, and this is kind of the normal view that you work in. And notice down the bottom here, you can add notes. So you can say something like, this was created by David Murray. And then if you go to each one of these slides, what you can do is you can add specific presenter notes. So that means that the person presenting the presentation, if it's different from the person who created it, can actually read through the notes, and there'll be extra information that they could talk about. Now when you actually run this as a presentation, and I'll do that by clicking where it says slideshow here, as you can see over here you've got notes. Now in most cases when you display your presentation on a projector or some sort of projection system, what happens is on your screen you'll see something like this, but your audience will see something like that. So they don't actually see the notes. Whereas going back to the view that you'd see on your computer or your laptop, as you can see, there are the notes here. So The idea with notes is don't make them sort of too expansive. They're just only short little bullet points, really, just to help the person doing the presentation to remember the important, the salient points of each particular slide. Right, in this section I'm going to look at controlling the text direction. So if you want to control the text direction, first click within the text that you want to adjust, then go up here where it says text direction and click on the down arrow next to it. So as you can see, by default it's horizontal. I'm not going to click on anything, I'll just move down here, and that rotates all text by 90 degrees or by 270 degrees, or we can stack the text. So let's say we want the text rotated by 90 degrees. I can click here, click outside it, and there we go. In the same way, if I click here within this text that says system unit, again, what I can do is click here and rotate by 90 degrees. I click there, click outside, and we're done. In this section, we're going to look at text alignment within a text box or a placeholder. So again, here we have a typical slide, and if I just click here, you can see here's an outline of the placeholder, which holds our text. And if I go up to here where it says align text, by default the text is aligned to the top. If I move here, it'll be aligned to the middle. Move here, it'll be aligned to the bottom. So if I want it aligned to the middle of the placeholder, I simply click there, and there we go. We've now got this big gap up there because if I click within this, that is the boundary, as you can see, of the placeholder. And to align the text vertically within that, you can go to top, middle, or indeed bottom, like so. And there we are, done. Right, in this section we're going to look at text autofit. Right, in this case what I'm going to do is insert a new slide. I'll just use the table and content section. And where it says click to add text, I'll just click there and paste some text in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste a bit more text in, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And you can see what happens. The more I paste in, it auto fits, or auto sizes if you like, to accommodate this text. Obviously it'd be fairly insane having text this small on a slide if you want people to read it, but you kind of get the idea. It auto fits the available space. If I get rid of all that, then what I'll do is I'll actually drag this in, this little text box, and again I'll put some text in there. I'll just paste some in. So that's initially that size, then that size, then that size, then that size. So again it's getting smaller and smaller the more you type in. Now if I click within this area here, then right click, I can go to where it says format text effects, and if I click on the option over here, the text box option, from here I can control things, how they work. So at the moment it's going to shrink the text if it sort of overflows the contents. Another way of doing it would be to leave the size of the font as it was, but to resize the shape, or I could just simply click here, which sort of disables the auto fit, and now as you can see it scrolls over and doesn't fit anymore. Then finally, this is not specifically a paragraph formatting option, but it's quite useful. I'm just going to quickly show you how to use what's called the format painter. Now what I've got here is some text on the slide, and what I can do is I can go and sort of format this. So for instance I can do something visual, so I'm going to change the color to maybe purple, and I'm going to make the size smaller, and I'm going to change the size of the font like so, just so you can see what's going on. Okay, that looks fairly horrible, but that's not really the point. What I'm going to do is apply some of this formatted text formatting to something else over here. So if I double click on an item of this text that's been formatted, I can double click to select it. I can click on where it says format painter over here, and if I go to another slide and maybe just drag across just part of the text, as you can see I've applied that formatting from one place to another. So that's something called the format painter, which is quite useful.